Hello and welcome, ladies and gents, to what we like to call the Circle of Champions here at IESF. Day one of this show day just finished. I'm joined by some lovely guests here for just a little conversation about what is Counter-Strike, what is IESF, what is international Counter-Strike as well. So first up, to my left, I've got
BTN, captain of Romania.
There we go. Next to him.
I'm Paul Bandana, player of the Team Ukraine.
I'm John Marin from USA, but I go by MDS in game.
And I'm Paladin. I'm the co-caster of Neo. I'm not a player. So.
There we go. And I'm Neokai as well. So joining Paladin, of course, for the next few days as we commentate IESF. So I guess that's probably the first good place to start is IESF, right? We've been to a couple now. We were in Romania last year. Now we're here in Riyadh. How are you enjoying it so far?
Well, I like it very much. I don't have my own people to cheer for me, but it's okay. It's okay. It's a lovely city and lovely weather.
It's true. It's very nice. And for you too, it's both your first times, right?
I guess for me, yes. I don't know for
This
John.
is my first time too.
It's like kind of enjoyable.
Yeah.
So because of the situation in Ukraine, you can can free cross the border. So we are super excited of this tournament.
Yeah, for yourself as well. Obviously, we've had America at the past, but a different roster. Now for you playing with this lineup, what's it been like?
I mean, it's been great. I think this is this group of people that we have here. We are a very tight bond, and I think it's just been a great time playing with these guys. Results haven't been what we wanted, but with that being said, we don't have very many opportunities in NA for Counter-Strike, and this is my first international tournament. I've never traveled outside the US to play a tournament before, so I'm just grateful for the experience of getting to play against, the European region, see how they're playing, learn from it, and just, I've learned a lot, right? I've learned a lot. And then on top of that, just the city itself is amazing. I love this place and the people are great. The culture's awesome, the food's good. So I'm just enjoying the time here, really.
So what's that feeling like for the two of you where, you genuinely have to, I don't know, you have to disassemble the schedule that you have when you play at home, and you've got a certain routine. Now you've got to set up at a new PC in a completely different environment. It's loud in there. It can get very loud in there. People are shouting in your face. I know you definitely experienced the life at Frag when people are yelling at you in your face, but I'm sure it's kind of a different situation when sometimes it's in a different language. Sometimes you're on this loud stage, so it can be a completely different situation. What's it like?
I think it's in terms of the noise, right? It's it doesn't really bother us because again, we deal with in Fragadelphia's and NA lands with people literally screaming obscenities in our face, right? It's a lot different than how these guys act. These guys are very cordial. They're really good people.
You should see him though when he's not on the server.
Oh he's wild on the server. They're they're just a different. Beast.
Better.
On the server they play like they hate you, but it's, but in real life, they're great people and all that. But I think for us, I think we actually had a good chance in all of our games, but I think that honestly our inexperience in this sort of environment, as far as playing against this better competition that is honestly ahead of the meta, right? They're way ahead of the meta in terms of the way the game's being played. But I really think our inexperience is what kind of was our downfall, because I think we had a lot of good situations, a lot of good chances to win games, but we just couldn't close them out, right? So I think that was for us maybe the biggest difference is just the way these guys play. It's it's insane. It's so hard to play against. So just props to you guys for real. You guys are really good, and we don't have these type of teams and players in NA. It's a whole different beast.
So for you, it's very new now to be at this kind of level of land where it is just a lot of international competition. How has that felt for you? And do you feel that kind of difference at all when you're in that kind of environment?
Yeah, for me personally, it was first, for John, first experience, the international tournament.
Yeah.
So for real, I was excited before our travel, and we expected a lot bigger results for us for Ukraine, but our results was not so good as we expected. But however, that's what CS is. So we like being here. We like people who is sitting here. like for me personally, I have a lot of new friends. I got a lot of new emotions, from this travel. So I don't really care, because of the lose. I care because of the emotions I have here.
That's what it's all about, bro.
I feel that.
Sure.
And then got you, sir, booked in towards playoffs.
Yeah.
How was groups for you, and how does it actually compare this group stage, this setup, being here in Riyadh compared to last year where you were on home soil in Romania? You spoke about kind of having the crowd behind you. I mean, we had a pretty serious crowd in Yash as well. I think it was like 4,000 people or something on that field. So in front of the palace.
It was crazy.
How's the difference this year where you don't have that supporting crowd, you don't have everybody cheering for you, and it's also, you have to travel here. It's a bit of a difference. How's that for you? I mean, I know you're obviously sort of experienced with LANs these days, but how's that feel?
Well, the hardest thing was that in Yash we had 3 slots going out from the groups, and now we have 2, so we have to give every game 100%. So this was the hardest thing to do, to be there 100% in every game. And first game we lost, we didn't start really good. Also, we lost to Kazakhstan. We didn't expect to lose against them. Maybe it was between us and Ukraine before the tournament, but Kazakhstan came here and demolished us all. So props to them.
Yeah, fair enough. So I want to kind of move the conversation now onto international Counter-Strike as a whole. You two in particular I've kind of for a while played on domestic teams, right? Playing in kind of your native tongue, playing in what is, I guess a roster that is sort of international already in your orgs, right? So what do you think that's starting to die down a bit? It feels like we're in the age of international rosters now where most people are just trying to communicate in English rather than, for you, obviously Romanian, Ukrainian for you. So why do you think that is starting to, we're not seeing as many international teams anymore?
Hard question. But I like to have a domestic team so I can go wherever to any lands and represent Romania with the whole players. I think it's better like this, and also the scene of Romania is growing better if they have an example like a team. But now we have like major champion from Romania. We have a team from Romania who's roller coaster, but we are trying our best. So,
for example, with Imma, he went international. Do you think that's now the way to become successful? It seems like a lot of teams and a lot of people are thinking that's the idea.
If you want to be like top 5, I think this is the way. It's hard to get there from national teams because every time you have a good player, a more powerful team can come and take it away. So this is the hardest thing to do, keep the lineup.
What about yourself? Obviously, you've been playing with these guys for a little bit of time now as well. What's the reason? Obviously, there's all these externalities that can be involved, but for you, what's the sort of reason why there's maybe not as many international teams anymore?
For me, it's like my first year being a pro scene, and the first pro team for me as well. So I kind of had much experience to play with international teams. I got to play like with mixes, with international mixes as well. Why I prefer Ukrainian ones, because it's easier to communicate in game. We understand each other because we live in one country now. We have one culture, and I don't know what's going to be in the future. Maybe I'll have another team, maybe something when maybe we'll be like a top team in the future, but I don't know, I want to be honest for everyone who is here. I like these people, everyone. If in the future I'll be invited by one of them, I'll play with and the smile on my face with them.
There we go. And you get limited by geography, unfortunately. There's just, it's you in Canada, really.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'll give a spin on it as well, because I mean, you think about Twist, you think about what Elige wanted to do with EG, like they were thinking about doing the EU project. Do you think that that's the future for us, just in general, just to branch out more, to take EU opportunities, or?
I mean, I think if you want the realistic answer, yes. But if you want kind of the hopeful answer, I think that there's a lot of talent in NA, genuinely. There's a lot of really good players that actually have a very high level understanding of the game, and they can really shoot hard. the issue is again just the opportunities, right? Like there's no money in the scene. We have 2 top teams, you know, Complexity and Liquid.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously it's extremely hard to break into that tier.
Yeah.
And then we have 3 teams making a livable wage in the region. You know, we got M80, got Nouns, and we got Wildcard.
Right.
Yeah, true.
And even Wildcard, right? They brought in EU players.
Same with M80, right?
Same with M80, yeah. So you have Nouns, and then like, you know, no disrespect to Nouns, but like, you know, we just watched them bomb out of the RMR.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just like, I personally think that like, it's very hard in NA because like, you know, these guys spoke about like their cultures, Romania, Ukraine. It's like you have one culture, right? Everyone's united. In the States, it's a lot different, right? Like
Yeah, each region the
has
country
their
is
own,
completely different.
exactly.
Yeah.
They have their own culture, and a lot of times it's very hard for American people to like get along in that sense, right? Like we can get along like on the surface, but like Counter-Strike's a game that it requires like a deep understanding of each other, right?
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I personally believe that if we can't like fix that like culture issue within America, you know, because it's very like, I said, it's completely different, right? Like just the way you guys are, the way you talk, it's so much different. Like in America, the top of the scene is very gate kept. You know, there's like a small group of people, and if you don't like get along with them, even if you're a really good player, even if you have a high level understanding of the game, you can be shorted opportunities just because they don't really like you, or they don't really like, you know, you guys don't really mesh personality wise. So I think that like, that in my opinion is the main thing hindering North America, is just that everybody just wants to do things their own. They have very closed minds. They're not open to new ways, right? They're not open to new, like for example, like the way you guys play, right? I think it's awesome, but I can guarantee you that 98% of NA players would say you guys play stupid. Because no, really, because you guys, you push things, you take risks, people make plays, and I can feel it when you guys play that you're communicating, you're making your own decisions, you're playing your game, and everyone is reacting off of these things, right? Yeah. In the NA region, it's like everyone has to do one thing only, and if you're not doing what everyone else is doing, you're wrong and you're stupid. And I just think that mentality hinders us genuinely, because I think that's an old way of playing the game, and I think that way of playing is dead, and I think that's why in NA we struggle to compete.
Well, I'll open the floor, right, and I'll pose this question because as Neo mentioned, you know, international teams kind of the future. I feel like it's since Antwerp and FaZe winning, it kind of like lit a spark for a lot of these orgs. You know, Vitality started moving away.
It's like a light bulb moment, wasn't it? Like, hang on, that might be the way.
Navi specifically also had that huge change, right?
Same thing.
Like, do you think that it's ever going to be a possibility that like a full Ukrainian team now takes the scene back over, or a full Romanian team takes the scene back over? Is it possible, or are we headed for that just pure international Counter-Strike from now on?
For me personally, I guess it depends on the people. Always, like if you are trying hard, you are giving your everything in this game, it's possible, easy, but for me, like, I don't know why like full Romanian, full like Ukrainian, full USA teams are not top tier. It's a hard question. I think because people like can't play together a long time, so like someone is growing up, someone is slowing down. So if you're growing up, other teams are inviting you, top tier teams, and you can't like stay in the same team always if you see you are better, you know, like in the skill individually and the macro. So it's like that, I guess.
Well,
Yourself?
I agree to Paul. Like he said everything. And another issue is like big orgs have a lot of money, so when the paycheck is on your table and you see it, you know,
it's fair enough.
People do prioritize it now.
Yeah.
It is a big priority for people now to make it a living job, and the fact that that's a possibility for a lot of these younger players, I'm sure it's just very enticing, right?
I also feel like for me, it comes down to actually the regions that you are from. Like we do have a few, like because they've got a decent tier 2 scene behind them, they've got at least, you know, domestic tournaments. They've got the ability, you know, basically a bunch of players to pick from. So I look at like regions like Denmark, obviously it's probably one of the best ones we've had. Sweden for a bit, maybe not so much anymore. Russia's probably obviously one of the best. They've got insane amounts of talent. I mean, like, I know you guys all know, maybe not as much you, but like you meet up against like a, you know, a Russian like random aim star on FPL or Face It, and they're just insane, right? There's so many coming through. So I really feel like it comes down to the region and probably what the development is like in the lower tiers, which is so difficult. I mean, America obviously has this issue now where there's so little in like tier 2. You've got like, I think like CCT,
if that, and then sometimes it's ECL.
and then that's really it, right?
ECL is also like very BO1 oriented, and like we struggle with, you know, map pool depth, and there's just a host of issues that come out of the lack of tournaments.
Yeah, because you've only got really one domestic LAN properly, right? It's like the Philadelphia's.
Yeah, but even then,
even
like,
then, it's not even.
A lot of big teams just don't go.
Right.
Like,
Like,
you don't see like M80 there,
No.
right?
I think
Not
Nouns
since
was
back
like
then.
biggest team.
Nouns went to a frag.
Not,
Chicago?
Yeah, Chicago.
It was,
yes.
but that was like.
Was that the one where Apex went as well? That and like slightly international. Like
No, that was like a proper frag. That was
because a couple of the UK teams went as well. I remember that. Yeah.
But even then, that one land, that was like unheard of.
Yeah, that was
Now
our
it's
like
show up
biggest
there.
thing.
Super rare, right? Yeah, sure.
Apex and Big Academy, and that was like a whole like surprise for us.
Yeah.
But that's I think that's the road to redemption. I think it's just having EU teams come over to North America and play in there. And I think if
There
we
has
can
to
have
be some sort of incentive. That's
right,
what it is.
yeah.
They have no
And
incentive.
everything's
And the
prize pool
incentive
these
was
days.
prize
as well.
pool. That was the big thing.
True.
Yeah.
And we had that huge sponsorship going on for Frag in the circuit at that point, that it was a much more viable option. It's a very complicated issue, and I feel like we could spend hours on it.
Yeah.
It's also
we could.
unsolvable too, right?
Yeah,
Because,
there
like,
is no real
There's
solution.
no answer.
Yeah.
So I'll pose this one as a real change up. What are you guys' thoughts on the 2025? Like the circuit, Valve making all these changes, opening it up.
Yeah, I'd
loose
like
term.
to get y'all's thoughts, because you guys are all in that tier 2 area from different regions as well. I'm sure you guys have been thinking about it a long time when you look at the calendar and you look at the qualifiers and the rankings and whatnot.
Because the circuit's open, but I'm sure you guys will realize there's not actually that many open qualifiers. So it then comes down to ranking. But how do you get ranking these days if you can't get in the open quals?
Well, we play IESF now.
Yeah, true. There we go.
It
We're
means a
gonna
lot
get
now
points.
all of a sudden, right?
Yeah. So since prize money also count,
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
will have some points. But when we first saw so many tournaments, it's gonna be next year, and they didn't announce how it's gonna be with the ranking or open quals. We all thought about open quals, so for us it was a really big opportunity. But now, since we need a lot of ranking, we need to do really good in lower tournaments so we can get points, so we can be able to get some invites into the close quals. Or I really don't know how they will make the attendance there.
Yeah.
Are you happy, you guys generally, like happy or maybe a little concerned about the changes?
I'm both.
Both, yeah, fair enough.
Happy because we will have a lot of tournaments, and also concerned because I don't know about open qualifiers.
True.
If every tournament gonna have an open qualifier, it's gonna be amazing for tier 2, tier 3 teams.
What about yourself? Are you excited about next year or a little bit worried? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, for sure. It's like, for me, it's 50-50 because, my thoughts about they removed a lot of open qualifiers. That's because a lot of cheaters, like
Classic.
rather hard. So for me, especially, as BTN said, we should be pretty good on the low tier tournaments to get wealth points, and then we can get a lot of invites for the better tournaments.
Yeah.
So we must show ourselves better than before.
Yeah, and unfortunately for you, these guys have got something that you guys don't, which is opportunity.
Exactly.
There is, it's 101 million tournaments in the EU, right? With pretty decent prize pools, but you guys kind of get screwed in that sense. It's actually really difficult to move up the domestic ranking. So are you the other way? Are you a little bit more nervous about it because there's no open qual?
I mean, there's no open quals. They're taking away the RMR. It's the one thing that like NA can really like push for. The RMR. Now that's gone, right? I understand why Valve's doing it, right? Like, it makes sense. Like, why would you not go where all the money and interest is? Like, of course, right? They're a business at the end of the day. They got to make money. They got to promote their product. But we have like CCT, and like
ECL maybe.
ECL,
If you
right?
can even get into it, because you got to go through advance and obviously all the
And
rest.
now that's also in the up in the air. Like, we have no
Exactly.
idea what that event looks like in 2025 at all.
So do you think, I mean, I guess it's kind of to both of you,
Yeah.
one as a commentator, analyst, and one as a player. Do you think the players, if you're in North America and you want to actually make it, do you think you have to move to EU?
I mean, I'm seeing just the results of like Boss, right? I think about that team at the RMR, and they'll get the odd upset. But the story at the end of the day is they've not had an EU boot camp moving in. They don't have organizational support whatsoever. And we've seen the flip side of it when you look at Wildcard. They take the opportunity by both hands.
Yeah.
And they really capitalize. And you can see the development that you get when you play in Europe for a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? It's a double-edged sword because you need organizational support for one to get the boot camps.
Yeah.
And you can't necessarily get the boot camps if you don't have an organization because you don't have the money.
Yeah.
So it's kind of paradoxical in a way.
So let's lump it, this is for both of you guys, into two different sections. You've got the tier 1 teams, we talk about Liquid, we talk about Cole, we got the tier like 1.5s, your M80s, your wildcards, and I guess kind of Boss just below them. If you're outside of those, so for yourself, you're outside of those sort of top 5 teams,
Right.
do you think the only way to actually be able to climb the ranks, get opportunities, is to move to EU because of how limited NA is?
I think, yeah, like if I was talking to like a young NA player, right? Because I'm like towards the end of my playing career.
Sure.
And if I was talking to like a young player that was like actually had talent and drive and really like, I'd tell him go to Europe. Like honestly, like to risk it all and go to Europe.
Because we've even seen it with like Savage from Australia, right? He took that gamble. I mean, obviously he got super unlucky with like both teams he joined, like kind of like instant imploding.
But you see the hope with players like Fuzi, right?
Yes,
where
exactly.
he goes to Rare Atom and it's okay there, but he reinvents himself. He comes back, plays on Sangal, and now qualifying to his first major with Wildcard.
Yeah.
The possibilities are there.
Yeah.
Genuinely, you just kind of have to take them. It's a big risk at this point right now, but I think for any players, it's kind of like an important thing.
It's almost a necessity at this point, right?
Yeah.
Because like it's like this, right? Like if your dream is CS, right, you have to actually look at it realistically, right? And the reality is like there ain't nothing going on in NA, like it's maybe you are this 1% freak talent that just gets pulled to like Liquid or something like that, maybe, right? And like that can happen, sure. But is that going to happen to everyone? No, right?
You also want the region to develop, right? And for that, you need teams to get through, not just players. Like you can have the odd Malms here and there, and it's a feel good story for our region. Crazy. Like we love it, we tout them a lot, but at the end of the day, you want the region to develop, and that's like you want your Phoenix to get up there, you want your Take Flights, you want the smaller teams to get that little edge in. As far as ranking points go.
Exactly.
And that just needs to come down to more events,
and more money.
Yeah.
Because again, right, like not to sound like a broken record, but if you're not one of these 4 or 5 teams, you can't play all day.
Yeah.
You can't. I gotta go to work.
Gotta go to job or school or something.
I won't have a home. I can't just play CS all day.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, right, like these other guys, they can. And they can live together and they can talk about the game and live, eat, breathe, and live the game. But when you can't do that, there's no money, no one is investing in it. What are you supposed to do?
I think you're probably spot on, right? I feel like at the moment, unless some things change and there's like a TO out of nowhere, I know there was a few like random like tournaments that kind of came out of nowhere and then they died.
And then they just disappeared.
Yeah, exactly.
They're there for a season and then everyone's like,
yeah, exactly. But for you two who play in Europe, do you think there's going to be more LAN opportunities next year now? The circuit's opening up, there's more TOs coming in, even if it's maybe not these like tier 1 events like your ESLs, your Blast, but do you think there's gonna be more tournaments of the kind of caliber like tier 1.5, tier 2, like IESFs, or maybe even some other TOs that come out of nowhere and do like LANs that are specifically maybe like 100K or 200K?
Like ESL Challenger.
Yeah, ESL Challenger or like, I'm trying to think, what other ones we got like kicking around?
I mean, I guess you could count Thunderpick maybe.
Yeah, but then the money is insane.
Yeah,
for
but
that.
the money is at an
Mongo's getting
fortune.
Yeah, exactly. 5th in the world for 100K. So
Yeah.
No, but do you think there's gonna be more like tier 2 LANs, like to call them?
Yeah, for sure, because not everyone gonna attend the bigger ones. So there should be some events for the smaller teams. So I feel it's gonna be more tournaments.
Yeah, but yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so because
True.
watching only tier 1 tournaments, it's like we wanna like see more teams, T2 teams on the LAN tournaments as well. So it would be a great scene, to watch. And we hope that more sponsors come to CS, and they'll do something for like lower tier teams as IESF does.
Yeah.
So it's gonna sounds great, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much done.
Yeah, I feel like we've kind of nailed it on the head there.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, guys, for joining us. Of course, pleasure to have you on. Thank you for all of those at home for watching us too. This has been the Circle of Champions, is that what we're
That's
calling
what
it?
it is,
Here
yeah.
at ISF. Ryan Riyad, if you're watching as well, come watch the playoffs. You will only see this man here, but,
Must see us.
but you might see these guys in the crowd. You don't know, you never know. But thank you very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. And well, until next time.